Hello everybody, my name is Karryshh and welcome back to another recap video. This time it's the latest Japanese horror movie, Matchin', which deals with the perils of dating apps. But this isn't all. This story was actually very captivating and it keeps the viewers on the edge of their seats till end. It's a really good watch and we're gonna recap it, but before that, if you're new here, please subscribe this channel and like this video, which will help me out a lot. With that said, let's dive into the story of the movie, Matchin'. So the movie begins with wedding photographs on Instagram about a couple who met online, but boom, the next second, we see a broken photo frame of the same couple on a crime scene. With crosses on their heads, the couple is brutally murdered by a serial killer who's hunting couples who gets married after meeting through a dating app. The bodies were propped on a table and it was a horror scene to witness. Now we meet a woman named Rinka, who's a wedding planner and she works tirelessly all day. This time she's working on her teacher's wedding, whom she used to have a crush on. Despite being involved in several weddings, Rinka herself has no luck with love. And with some chit-chats of the guests, Rinka finds out that her teacher and his wife met on a dating app known as Will. Rinka's friend Naomi tells Rinka to install Will, but she denies, and then she goes back home to her dad, Yoshiki. Rinka's really close to her dad, and the two talks about Rinka's marriage, but Yoshiki has his mind set up that Rinka can never find a guy. Rinka also remembers her mother, Michiko, who left her at a park 25 years ago, and since then she's missing. Everything feels overwhelming, and to get herself out there, Rinka finally makes a profile on Will. Next day, she shows her profile to her friends, and her friends found her a potential match with a guy named Tomu. After working all day, Rinka matches with Tomu while going home, and by the next morning, Tomu and Rinka have talked a lot. In the office, Naomi flirts with Tomu for Rinka, but their boss comes there and takes them to a meeting. Rinka finds out that their company is doing a collaboration with Will dating app. The app's developer Kageyama was in the meeting too, and he meets with Rinka. Rinka also finds out about the recent murder cases. Actually, you see, all the couples who are dying met on Will app, meaning there's a connection between the dating app and the murders. During the meeting, Tomu asks Rinka out, but on the other hand, inside the headquarters of Will app, an employee is reading the conversation between Rinka and Tomu. He gets caught by Kageyama, who scolds him away, but it was something worth remembering. The next day, Rinka goes on her first date with Tomu at an aquarium, where Tomu suddenly shows up, and the first thing he does is to tell a creepy tale about his birth to Rinka. He was a baby when his parents left him at a train station to die. He has nothing of his parents except a locket he wears, and one day he wants to find him. This story creeps Rinka out, and then Tomu shows her sea creatures eating other creatures, which creeps her out even more. Rinka tries leaving as soon as possible, and then we follow a man in darkness. He's at an abandoned house where he finds a photo of Yoshiki, together with a woman we don't know about and a small boy. Next day, Rinka tells everything about Tomu to Naomi, and Naomi takes Rinka to Kageyama, who checks Tomu's profile and informs Rinka that this guy is a stalker and many dating sites have reported him. Kageyama tells Rinka to stay away from this guy, but she bursts in laughter because her lucky love even gets worse. Scene goes on another couple who has been brutally murdered by the same serial killer, and then at night, Rinka attends a call at her house. From the other side, a woman wanted to talk to Yoshiki, but she hangs up hearing Rinka's voice. Rinka tells this to her dad, and he becomes all weird after hearing about this woman. Yoshiki stays the same the next day and remembers stuff from his past. We see the past when Rinka was little and Michiko used to live with him, but at the same time, a woman named Setsuko used to text Yoshiki constantly. She was in love with him, and we can tell that the woman who just called was actually Setsuko reaching out. Now we see an old woman in red at a housing facility where she receives a letter including photos. The photos are of Rinka from her dating profile and Yoshiki's family photo from the dark house. The letter addresses the woman in red as someone's mother, and whoever sent the letter is coming to meet her. Somehow all this is connected to Rinka, which is mind-blowing. Now Rinka gets a text from Tomu, who tells her that he finds out about her family secret, but Rinka ignores the text until suddenly Tomu appears near the house. Rinka runs away, but Tomu tells Rinka to stay away from Kageyama for some reason. Rinka doesn't listen and runs inside the house, tells Yoshiki about the stalker, but when Yoshiki checks, he only finds a cop. The cop tells that Tomu called him, but Tomu was no longer there, which worries Rinka and Yoshiki. Later we see Rinka's teacher, and someone has chained him. That someone is the serial killer who brutally murders teacher's wife in front of him before killing the teacher and propping their bodies as usual. Meanwhile, Rinka is now on a date with Kageyama. After movies, they go to a record store where Kageyama promises Rinka to protect her from Tomu. After this, Rinka gets the news of her teacher's murder. It gives her a great shock, and the scene goes on the teacher's funeral, where Kageyama picks up Rinka afterwards, but the two were stopped by two detectives. The detectives were investigating serial killer murders and they found a pattern. Actually, you see, recently, all the people dying are just the clients of Rinka, who recently got married after meeting on Will. This news is now leaked and the cops make Rinka a suspect. Next day, all the Rinka's clients pulled off their weddings from her hands and she suffers financially. Finally, we find a little about Tomu as well, who's actually a forensic cleaner. He was cleaning an apartment where a man recently died and he finds his finger, but that didn't bother him at all. Soon detectives come to question Tomu, and he was another suspect. They ask him some questions about the murders and Rinka, and Tomu just answers casually. At night, Rinka notices her father is being weird about something. The scene goes back in the past, where we see Yoshiki, who comes home one day and finds Michiko and Rinka with Setsuko and her son. Now we find out that Yoshiki was actually in a relationship with Setsuko and was cheating on Michiko, but Setsuko already had a son from someone else, and that day, everything exploded for Yoshiki. On the other hand, Rinka gets a text from Tomu, and he has sent that family photo to her, which shocks Rinka because she didn't know anything about her father's affair. She talks about this to Kageyama and the two concludes a connection between Tomu and Setsuko, or maybe Tomu is a really good stalker. We get to see a glimpse of past when Michiko left Rinka at the park for forever. That night, Rinka finds a mail that includes a photo of Yoshiki and Setsuko on bed, and this breaks Rinka. She goes inside and confronts Yoshiki with that photo. There, Yoshiki tries to make Rinka understand the fact that yes, he did make a mistake and betrayed Michiko, but he tried ending things with Setsuko, but she became possessive of him. We see the past where Yoshiki was trying to break up with Setsuko, but she revealed that she's pregnant with Yoshiki's baby. Yoshiki tried running away, but Setsuko ended up stabbing him in the back. The next day we see Naomi, who encounters Tomu. She gets scared, but Tomu was there to tell Naomi something about Rinka because Rinka was refusing to talk to Tomu. On the other hand, Rinka is with Kageyama and she takes him to the park Michiko left from. Actually, you see, the day Michiko left, Setsuko came to meet with Rinka and she gave him a lucky clover leaf. Rinka still has the leaf with her and these memories saddened Rinka. Kageyama comforts Rinka, but then Naomi calls her and tells her to come to her place as soon as possible because she met Tomu and he has revealed something big. Rinka goes to meet with Naomi immediately, but now Naomi was not picking up her phone. She doesn't even answer the door, but as soon as Naomi exits the building, suddenly Naomi falls from above and dies behind Rinka, scaring her to hell. Rinka screams and the horror knocks her out. Now Rinka wakes up in detective's office where Rinka straight up tells them that Tomu is the killer, but the detectives don't have enough proof against him yet. Soon the detectives get a call and boom, Rinka gets another mental shock because Yoshiki has committed unalivement by hanging himself from a bridge. Rinka loses all her senses and she's not really stable now, but she tells the detective that Yoshiki died because of a woman named Setsuko who's trying to reach out for a couple of days. After Yoshiki's funeral, Kageyama comforted Rinka and then he tells her about a secret he found. Actually, Kageyama was investigating Tomu secretly and he has found pretty great stuff. And to tell Rinka all that, he takes her to an abandoned house, and this is the house where Setsuko and her son used to live. Inside the house, Kageyama tells Rinka a story about Tomu. A long time ago, there was a boy who lived in this house with his mother, but his mother fell in love with a guy. She stops paying attention to her son and she chatted with the guy all night and day, but that guy ruined her and her son's life. Here in the story, Rinka is kinda creeped out, but suddenly, Kageyama reveals that he's the son of Setsuko, not Tomu, and Setsuko lost her mind cause of Yoshiki. It means the story is actually about Kageyama and not Tomu. Kageyama tells that after the breakup, Setsuko used to hurt herself and he had to bear through everything. Soon Setsuko got pregnant and Kageyama found that out on the day Setsuko stabbed Yoshiki. That day Kageyama's mother left him alone and he had to live in an orphanage for the rest of his life. Kageyama now screams maniacally and picks up a knife and then tells further that a few days ago he found Rinka's profile on Willville app. In the profile picture, Kageyama notices a picture on the wall which revealed Rinka's identity to him, and since then he was stalking her so that he could take her revenge. Kageyama is the guy who murdered Naomi, and now Rinka sees her family photos on the ceiling before Kageyama walks towards her with the knife and Rinka screams. At the last moment, cops arrive at the door and when Kageyama goes to check, Rinka knocks him over with a vase and runs for her life. However, Rinka sees that it's not the cops outside, it's Tomu, who was acting like the cops and he was there to save her. Tomu locks Kageyama inside the house and runs with Rinka, but Rinka was still not trusted him. Tomu tries to make Rinka understand the fact that he may be a creep and a stalker, but Kageyama is a murderer, and then suddenly, Kageyama comes back with the knife and attacks on Tomu. The two fights, and Kageyama was about to kill Tomu when Rinka hits him with a fire extinguisher and saves Tomu. Rinka then beats the shit out of Kageyama cause he's the reason her life turned upside down. And actually, Kageyama was the mysterious man we saw in the movie. He then gets arrested for his crimes and Rinka talks to detectives, but the detectives are not sure if Kageyama is the serial killer or not. Anyway, Rinka now starts trusting Tomu cause he saved her life. That night, Rinka was alone when Tomu texts her and tells her to meet him cause the truth is still missing about her family. Next day, Rinka goes to meet with Tomu at a place where he was working. After work, Tomu takes Rinka on the roof where Tomu talks in his usual creepy sense and he admits that he's a stalker, but he doesn't want to harm Rinka at all. He then takes Rinka to an old house and facility to uncover the rest of the truth. At that place, the old woman we saw once was living, and that day, her nurse and she was outside in the lawn when they saw Rinka and Tomu coming towards them. Rinka asks the nurse about Setsuko and the nurse points at the woman in red, who's Setsuko. Rinka then talks to her and tries to make her remember past stuff before she apologizes for her dad's mistake. But then she tells Setsuko that cause of her phone calls her dad died and her son is responsible of killing people Rinka loved. But hearing all that, the nurse starts laughing, confusing Rinka, but it becomes apparent that the nurse is actually Setsuko and the woman in red is someone else. Setsuko now laughs and tells Rinka that she intentionally called Yoshiki after her son Kageyama paid her a visit all of a sudden. The mother and son together planned on their revenge, and everything happened cause Setsuko wanted it to happen. Rinka starts to understand everything and soon, she sees that the woman in red is actually being imprisoned by the nurse because she's no one but her mother Michiko, who strapped her for 25 years. Rinka instantly connects with her mother and the scene goes in the past where we see Michiko, who was going to get something for Rinka when she left her at the park, but she crossed paths with Setsuko, who knocked Rinka out and kidnapped her. Since that day, Michiko is living with Setsuko and Setsuko is torturing her so that Michiko can feel the pain Setsuko felt after breakup. Rinka now tries helping her mother when Setsuko pulled out a pair of scissors and attacked on Rinka, but to save Rinka, Tomu comes in the way and gets stabbed instead. Now the scene goes a few days later where Tomu is recovering in the hospital and Rinka comes to meet with him. The two are finally showing a spark of love and Rinka brought him new clothes because all he used to wear were gross clothes. After a few days, Rinka's mother comes to live with her and the two bonds. Meanwhile, Setsuko goes to jail, but one day, Tomu comes to visit her, which was strange. Setsuko asks Tomu what does he want, but Tomu tells her that he's in love with Rinka, but there's a problem. And then he starts telling her the story of his birth, how his mother left him to die at the train station. And then he shows Setsuko the pendant he wears, which shivers Setsuko's spine. So actually you see, Tomu is actually the baby Setsuko had after getting pregnant with Yoshiki. It means Tomu is Kageyama's brother and Rinka's half-brother. Scene goes on Kageyama where the detectives are interviewing him. They ask him about the serial killer murders and Kageyama reveals that he killed Naomi and Rinka's teacher and his wife because he wanted to kill people who were close to Rinka, but he didn't kill any other couple from Millville Ave. Suddenly, another detective comes and reveals that the cops have found another dead couple, and it means the serial killer is still out there. Meanwhile, Tomu and Rinka are again on a date in the same aquarium. Tomu was wearing Rinka's gifted clothes, and Rinka is finally trusting him, but boom. In the next scene, we see Tomu washing a bloodied knife, and it means Tomu is the serial killer who killed all those couples. However, we can't really tell if he murdered Rinka or not. In the end, Tomu smiles at the camera and the movie ends. And in this last scene, Rinka was beside him. Now the possibility of Rinka dying is 50-50 here because Tomu was in love with her, but he was also her half-brother and also a serial killer. So what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. So this was the recap video on the movie Matchin', and I hope you have liked it. If you have, then please subscribe the channel and like this video. I really need your support to grow further. If you want to watch this movie, there's a link to my Telegram channel where I share movie links every now and then. So go subscribe there. I'm mostly active on Insta, so you can follow me there as well. And look into my other channel where we discuss about the mysteries of the world. All the links are in the description box for now. I see y'all in the next one. Till then, stay awake, cause they always see you.